So my name is Oksa Chaudhry. You don't know me, that's all the context you need. But basically, this video is about my thoughts on love, or more specifically, romantic love, and why I kind of think it's a scam. So not that I think it's a scam, but necessarily like I was basically like ideating and reflecting on my life today, and I came home and I was just like, And so then I was kind of like thinking more deeply about some aspects of it, and then so I just thought, these are some kind of profound thoughts and stuff like that that I've been ideating and pontificating with the assistance of artificial intelligences. And I was just wondering, maybe one day I'll share this with my friends or something if they ever ask me what my thoughts are. So here's that video. And so basically, the question is, why do I think romantic love is kind of a scam? So hear me out. So this all started because I was just thinking about that's like the premise of like why things don't work out. And so like for example, we have scenario A, so like why would a human get rid of a whole friendship because they have feelings they can't act on? Or like there's a specific level of incompatibility or something that happens if the concept is love, right? Like in general, like what about it is so specifically get gut wrenching that you can't even maintain a friendship, even if you've personally had like connection or a sense of intellectual curiosity or like these things where they're genuinely things matching up. It's like you wouldn't like just throw away like your car because oh suddenly it's like I don't know, I don't like the way the paint shines anymore, this or that. It's like there's a very like deeper thing to it. And so it's like less narratively and more concretely. It's like AI is telling me, oh, is it gut wrenching to walk away from a friendship because of unacted on feelings? Because it's like more so that the feelings don't destroy the friendship from the outside, but it's like it hollows it out from the inside. And it's like the connection is still real, the laughs are still real, but there's like an invisible weight apparently that like the person is always managing for the unspoken and things like that. So it's like, okay, well, what does that mean, like narratively and not like and like less narratively and like more concretely? So like, why do people not or why do people are not able to maintain friendships otherwise? And so it's like more concretely, the concept was that when somebody has these specific romantic feelings for a friend they cannot act on, that every interaction becomes a low grade cognitive task in a sense. It's like they're constantly monitoring themselves. They don't look too long, they don't look too eagerly, they don't do this or that. And it's like that level of self regulation is apparently exhausting. And it basically practically allows them and they makes them that they're not in the ability to act with full honesty, which is what friendship is supposed to be. And like it's like they're holding this deep dark secret somehow that makes them feel kind of miserable in a sense, and it practically blocks them from moving on like romantically. And it's like it still takes up the same bandwidth in the place of where a reciprocal relationship would exist. And so I'm like, okay, so it's like I assume that just because I cannot reciprocate or this person cannot reciprocate for some reason, that this person feels at a loss because this other person feels a certain fixation that they're unable to act on. So like this person has a specific fixation and this is like bro who just like no way spaghetti, or there's like a mutual just like contingency where it just cannot happen. And so I'm just like, so it makes me think that just because subject B cannot be a person's specific fulfillment, or subject B or C or something like, A and B, they just cannot get together because, or they can't fulfill the specific expectation that exists in subject A or B's mind or in this mutual cloud. It's just like, huh. In a sense, like, it makes me think just because this person can't do specific things that are reserved for specific statuses of a relationship or a reciprocal romantic based relationship, it kind of makes me think I kind of just throw the whole person out just because some things don't work out. And it's like, well, that's kind of like reductive and kind of like, I don't know, something about that just makes me feel like just because I can't act or somebody else can't act or some being can't fulfill those specific expectations or those specific molds, what really does constitute love? And so it's like it is something inherently reductive because underneath it all is like there's a version of you that's available to me that isn't enough. And it's like being a friend isn't enough. And it's like, because it's like you could show up to a friendship whole. It's like not halfway, and it's just like, wait a minute, that's like that's not enough still. because it's like there's a specific ego structure that says I want access to you, but only in specific terms that serve what I feel or the specific fantasies or the ruminations or this thought process. And I'm like, well, if this subject B can't necessarily mesh well without those specific pretenses, and like there's a level of like, interest, I think maybe that actually even contributes to compatibility, right? Like, say for example, somebody has a variable amount of interest, and it's like either you level down or level up, or you kind of like, even those out. But if those are propagated or proliferated more so by biological wiring rather than intellectual wiring, kind of makes you feel that those things are more intertwined than what is actually pure. And so basically, this is where I kind of feel like the scam part of it starts to reveal itself. And it's not that it's a scam, it's a more of like a more prolifically, I say provocative way of putting it, but it's more so it's like, here's what I think. It's like there's nothing wrong with the premise of romantic love. It's like we as a species need some type of like, survival mechanism. It's like if we didn't have that biological pull or push towards people, high key, I don't think we would like be near each other. Like I'm just saying, like there is a species level existence that we need to fulfill in order to continue to repopulate our earth and stuff like that. But it's like pure adoration, and like this is why I think romantic love is inherently not as pure as it seems, because pure adoration would be that being in you in any capacity is a gift, because I admire you for your mind, your intellect, the way you think, thoughts, or specific arbitrary factors that are not arbitrary, like not arbitrary factors, my bad, specific factors that are inherently earned instead of just like, I don't know, baseline things like I don't know, the way you look or the specific fulfill like terms you can fulfill, like if you're, you know, of the preferred orientation or things of that. And so it's just like, okay, like bro, I'm looking at this book I got over here. It's like, bro, you think that he like her because like if she was someone's hairy uncle, bro, do you think he would be all over her? Like I don't think so, bro. It's like he's blue, she's pink. It's gotta make sense, right? But this is why I also think it's kind of wrong. So my thoughts continuing is like it's not pure adoration, because it's like, hmm, there's a specific intertwining of intellectual capacity and biological intertwining that actually inflates the compatibility level. And to a certain degree, that's fine. We need that because we need to continue populating the earth, as we've mentioned previously. But that's why I think that there's like hierarchies or layers to love, because it's like I think keeping friends with the same gender, or it's like way more genuine, because like there's a lower likelihood of like like if you have like a specific interest going on, like there's a less likelihood of that happening. Now I'm not saying that's not a possibility, of course that exists, but like it's like, think about it like this. Like say for example, subject A is a male, right? And subject B happens to be a female around the same age range. It's like if I was somebody's hairy uncle, would you see me the same? Like this is basically the concept of like, would you love me if I was a worm? But it's like you can have the same exact brain, the same exact humor, the same exact energy, bro. And it's like the same exact absurdity that any other person may find endearing or this or that. But it's like if you're someone's hairy uncle, it's like you would just drift away because there's too much not in common. And then normal friendship mechanics, you would just go away because there's no hidden self-regulation or pain loop or anything that we mentioned in the previous entanglement where there is some level of tension. So it's like, okay, if you happen to be a specific individual because you can be the exact same person, but you happen to fall into this specific narrow category of like, okay, but there are factors that inflate your value. It's like, oh, well, what do you become? And so this is where I feel like I want to flatten this. Is like some people can genuinely separate it. Like they can have, rarity in which they can appreciate someone exactly for their intellectual capacity and maybe have some biological intertwining. But this is why I don't think it's pure, because it's like when you think about it, when you genuinely love someone for who they are rather than what they can be or this or that or whatever distorted fantasies they can fill in your head, it's like, or what feeling they could give to you personally, it's like I like to think of it in terms of role models. Because like, okay, let's think about a wonderful role model that we truly admire because wow, I can't believe they exist in this world. They made the world a better place, this and that. Like for example, for me, it's Steve Wozniak, bro. Like Steve Wozniak and me, bro, like we are not compatible, right? But it's like his contributions, his thoughts, his way he's contributed to the world, and like his overall demeanor. Like that's incredibly, incredibly beautiful. And it's like there are a variety of human beings who would also not be attracted to Steve Wozniak, who also find the same sentiment because it's about intellectual ability rather than arbitrary factors of like, I don't know, whether Steve looks a specific way or whether Steve looks like an anime girl. Steve, you know what? He's my favorite anime girl, but not in that way. And so, like, yeah, you don't find a role model to be admirable or worth of adoration because of some higher intellectual marking. You just find them like a genuinely cool person. Like you don't like have an intellectual marking in terms of like entanglement with whatever else is brewing in here. And so, yeah, it's like I don't know. And so, like basically what I want to say is that like it's not reductive and animalistic to have romantic love. It's actually entanglement of both. It's intellectual admiration and a biological pull fused. But the problem isn't that like romantic feelings can exist. It's just the problem is that when they override or replace the intellectual appreciation of a person, I don't know. It's just like you can't sustain about what you once loved once the romantic possibility is off the table. And it tells you that like the romantic part is load bearing and it like the intellectual part was more decorative than fundamental. And I think that's inherently hollow because people like to apparently frame any type of romantic connection as being probably way more profoundly deep, but it's actually just a kind of shallow connection wearing a deep costume if it's not based off the premise of like who you are as a person first and foremost. And so it's like I find it those exact words because it's like when we feel more narratively important and more integral about it towards our entire life, we realize that attraction is way more biologically wired than we'd like to think about it in like the entire sense. Like think about it purely from that perspective, like how we recreate and reproduce and procreate as a society, like the entire species. It's like a little bit of like, okay, in terms of animals, in terms of binary outcomes, yes or no, fail or success. And instead of like overriding that fail or success mode, like we're fish or some type of numbers game, you decide to go with fail because there was a specific fantasy or ideas or non-compliance that couldn't work. And instead of just like using your higher order intellect to just be like, yo, this fish is mad cool still, it's like, including like there's so many things like micro histocompatibility complex as a main driver of things, even like our immune systems, the way we look. It's like kind of sad. And like I don't know, I think about free will and the concept of religion. It's like even people is like not told to be worshipped in Islam because it's like there's a specific level of like idolatry and it's just like human beings are inherently flawed and like the only perfect source and genuinely profound deep appreciation is the creator of all creation. And so yeah, it's like if their concept of like free will, like this is getting a little crazy now, but like free will is that you mark yourself above the animals and even above the angels who have no concept of free will. It's like, well, adoration and true worship is actually like the most beautiful and most pure sense of love. So it's like there's a hierarchy. At the base, there's biological attraction. There's like MHC compatibility. There's symmetry. There's reproductive fitness, and it's not bad. Serves a species level purpose, but it's binary. It's pass or fail, compatible or not, and like that's the load bearing structure of a connection, and the connection inherits all that binary logic. You either fulfill the biological rule or you get discarded to find another fish. But it's again fish level operating system. And then like a layer up, there's like intellectual admiration. It's like you appreciate someone for their mind, their contributions, their perspectives, and like this is the area in which like role models exist. You know what I mean? And it's like it can survive many things. It can survive distance, asymmetry, and even disagreement. And it's more durable because it's based on something the other person is rather than what they can fulfill for you. And so it's like when you're pointing to something even above that, it's like the purest love is the love of God. And then you're like, okay, well, some people may feel twisted about it. They may not, they have their own concept of whether I'm not gonna dive into that, but it's like, if something is truly, fully unconditional, truly non-transactional and directed something that's actually perfect, or like the whole project of being human, and within this specific framework, it's like we're using free will to climb that hierarchy, to not stop at the biological, not even the intellectual, but to reach something that transcends the self entirely. So it's like, when we what I'm trying to do is, like, when you tie all together, is that your point is about free will being above the mechanism. It's like animals don't choose, angels don't choose, but like humans can choose. And it's like choosing to love someone for who they are rather than what they trigger in your nervous system or what they can fulfill for you, whether it's a mother father wound or any type of limerence or idea of fantasy, is inherently kind of egotistical rather than the pure love. And how I feel that, honestly, the exercise of choosing to love someone for who they are it's way more deep. And so yeah, that's my thing, is that adoration is it's deeper. And so yeah, that's why I think that romantic love is kind of a scam. But yeah, thanks. I need to go take a drink of water now. That's yeah.